You feel completely invisible to the one who's supposed to know you best. And the hardest part is they're right there, faithful, providing, showing up. By every measurable standard, your marriage looks fine. So why do you feel like an afterthought in your own home? And why does that feel a little bit like a betrayal to even admit? That's what we're talking about today. One of the most isolating things about this is that it's really almost impossible to explain to anyone outside your marriage. I mean, it's not like there's an affair or addiction or some kind of overt abuse going on. You can't just snap a picture and go, see, there's the problem. And that makes it even harder to deal with because then you feel like you don't have the right to feel it, but you do. And there's a name for this. It's called emotional loneliness. It's completely different from physical loneliness. With physical loneliness, your spouse is gone. But with emotional loneliness, they're present, but you can't reach them. And in many ways, I think that's the harder of the two, because at least when your spouse is gone, you've got something tangible to grieve. But with emotional loneliness, you're grieving someone who's sitting right next to you. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual narrowing of what you used to share together. Deep conversations that used to go deep, but now they just stay on the surface. And all those moments when you used to reach for each other, they're diminishing. Until, finally you wake up one day and realize, I've got a spouse who's present for everything, but they're emotionally unavailable for anything. And it's not because they don't love you. You're just both busy, and you're both feeling the accumulated weight of all these years of life together. This longing to be seen by your spouse, not just have them live alongside you, is one of the most fundamental human needs there is. And when it's missing, it creates a specific kind of ache that doesn't just go away because everything else around you is functioning. You are not needy for wanting this, and you are not betraying your spouse by saying, I'm struggling. I want to address this. It deserves a conversation. It deserves to be addressed, not minimized or managed. But maybe the way you've been trying to get this need met is part of the problem, because if your loneliness has turned into resentment, shutting down, a quiet emotional exit out of the marriage, your spouse may have no idea how far gone you really are, and they need to know, not as an accusation, but as an honest, vulnerable statement of where you really are right now. Now, if you're the emotionally absent one, you might be thinking, we're doing pretty good, I think. Yeah, they're a little more distant, I see that, and maybe things are a little bit more routine between us, but we're doing pretty good. And you have no idea that your spouse is sitting across from you thinking they've already lost you and they're done. That gap between what you think is happening and what's really being experienced by your spouse, I think that's one of the most common and painful things I encounter when I work with couples. And it's not because you don't love your spouse. I know you do. It's because you're so focused on providing and showing up and keeping everything running smoothly that you've neglected the emotional needs of your marriage. Not just of your spouse, because you have emotional needs too. You know, your spouse doesn't need more of what you're already giving them. They need you, the real you, present, engaged, curious about what's going on inside of them. And if that feels a little weird, uncomfortable, pay attention to that, because that discomfort is telling you something very important about what's been missing. Let me tell you about Anna. She has a husband who comes home from work. He helps with dinner. He washes up afterwards. He helps put the kids to bed, helps them with their homework. He's very present, but it's always just really surface. When she talks to him about anything, he seems really distracted. You know, he nods at the right time and he says the right things, but maybe he's flipping through the mail while she's talking, or he's on his phone, or the TV's on and he's looking at the game. And in her heart of hearts, she just thinks he's not that interested. So she stopped talking to him a long time ago. She talks to her sister, she talks to her mom, she talks to God, she journals. She's got this entire network of people that she can open up to, but not her husband. And it's not because she's intentionally locked him out. It's just that she's stopped believing that he's interested in knowing. But here's what's interesting about her husband, Paul. He's not a cold or shallow or selfish person. He's really a nice guy. And he's genuinely confused about why Anna is upset. But he also grew up in a home where mom and dad were just like him and Anna. Dad came home from work, turned the TV on, had the newspaper out. Mom was in the kitchen, cooking dinner, living under the same roof, but pretty disconnected. So he never really learned how to be emotionally present, just physically present. And he doesn't realize that there's something fundamental missing from this marriage. Is this where you are in your marriage? If it is, you are not alone. This is such a common problem. And the first thing you have to do is just acknowledge that this is what's going on. If you're the lonely one, just ask yourself, what do I need specifically from my spouse, and how am I communicating that need? Have I communicated in a way that they can really hear, or have I just started to shut down, pull away, and they seem genuinely confused? And I know you might be going, they should know. I've told them in all kinds of different ways what I need, but have you? Because if they still seem bewildered, if they still seem confused, you haven't communicated it in a way they really understand. The best way to do this is just to simply say, I'm feeling disconnected from you. I miss us. Maybe you can look back on a time when you did feel closer, and you can reference that. Remember when? I miss that. I want us to be able to get back to that. And you're not telling your spouse they need to change, they need to fix something. You're just making an honest statement about what's going on inside of you. Now, if you realize I'm the emotionally absent one and you want to do something about this, you got to get curious. You've got to realize there's an underlying reason for why your spouse feels a little distant or a lot distant, and figure out what that is. So you've got to ask. You've got to say something like, hey, I noticed that, and then describe what you see. Can you help me understand what's going on? I think there's something missing here between us, or I think there's something going on with you that I don't fully understand. And then listen. Don't expect your spouse to be like super willing to jump in there and go, oh yeah, thank you for asking, let me tell you. Because remember, they've been practicing for years and years and years not telling you. So they're going to be reluctant to open up. You have to just stay present, stay silent, and wait. And you might have to ask multiple times. Remember, you didn't get here all at once. Remember, it was small little moments that drifted you guys to this place. And it's those same small moments that will pull you back together. You got to be patient with your spouse, patient with yourself. Every effort that you make to connect with your spouse, or they make to connect with you, matters. That means putting the phone down, turning the TV off, reaching for each other's hands, giving each other a kiss before you go to bed at night, saying, hey, can we pray about this? Those things that seem so insignificant in the moment are not insignificant. They are what you build a marriage from. So you either have a lifetime of those or you don't. Marriage is the most intimate relationship you will ever have. And that is how God designed it. Please don't settle for the emotional drift that you've got going on in your marriage. Please reach out to me, because that's why I created Marriage in Bloom. It is a 6-month transformative program designed to take you from this place of feeling invisible to your spouse or being the emotionally absent spouse and turn that around, and quick. Believe me, it can be turned around much faster than you think. I don't care how many years you've been married. It's just a simple link to a private marriage assessment, a 60-minute call. No pressure, just a conversation where we talk honestly about the state of your marriage. So that description is below. And I've got a whole library of these kinds of videos that talk about this very thing. So check those out. They're also available to you. Again, check the description below.